Let's update Minecraft from 1.18.1 to 1.18.2. Alright, we found ourselves back in IntelliJ once more, and in this tutorial we're going to be updating Minecraft from 1.18.1 to 1.18.2. Now this is an incredibly important tutorial, so don't skip this, because tutorials following this will contain world generation, and that has completely changed. Also, there is one change for the tags, so this is incredibly important. So let's start by going into the build.gradle file. And in our build.gradle file right here under dependencies, we want to change the version for Minecraft Forge. Now we can just navigate to the Minecraft Forge website, right, this one right here, and we can see that it now is 1.18.2 and then 40.05. So this is exactly what we're going to put in here. Let's just do this one, and then this is 40.05. There you go. Now we'll not yet click this button, because what we also need to do, and this is incredibly important, if you have Parchment mappings, you need to use the following Parchment string or the Parchment version. Incredibly important. 1.18.1 dash and then the newest date here, and then 1.18.2. If there is a 1.18.2 version released, then of course, you know, you're probably going to find that on the wiki as well, on the actual GitHub, but for the time being, this is what you need, because otherwise, if you just have the 1.18.1 mappings in here, then certain things are not going to work. Incredibly important. Please keep this in mind. Use the correct Parchment as well. Now, after we've, you know, added both of this, we can now press the little elephant at the top right corner, and then once again, of course, you know, it will download stuff. This once again might take, you know, it might take a couple of seconds, it might take up to a minute. I've already done this, of course, before, right, pre-programmed all of this, so this is why this pretty much didn't take long at all for me, but for you it might take, you know, a minute or so. Right, and after this has run through, what's very important, let's open the terminal and let's go and actually call the following /gradlew refresh-dependencies, and then hit enter. And this is just going to sort of refresh all of the dependencies and everything, so that everything here is really correct. This is needed for the Parchment, so that the newest version of the librarian is used. You know, we don't need to get into it. We're just going to need to do this so that Parchment works properly. Let's just do that, and then after this is done, this should take about a minute or a minute and a half, something like that, maybe a little longer, depending on your computer and your internet, but that should be fine. So let's just let this run through and be patient, and let's wait until we get a build successful. All right, there we go, build successful in 1 minute 17 seconds, and now we are ready to embark on the one thing that does not work, and that's going to be the tag. So if we go into our tags, you can see nothing here works anymore. That's, I mean, complete shame, but luckily it's actually very easily solved. So instead of tags.iOptionalNamed tag, we want to use tag key. So we just write tag key here, autocomplete with the tab key, and then we're just literally gonna replace all of those with the tag key. So this is gonna be there, and then this, instead of create optional, is just gonna be create. And then once again, we can just replace all of those calls right here. And then the rest here should be fine. The only thing now is the related arrow for the dowsing rod variable. If we click on this, you can see we can no longer do ModTags block and then dowsing rod variables that contains. That does no longer work. It is now, I mean, in my mind, a little more complicated. And I mean, I don't know why this change occurred. It is what it is, but now we got to do it like the following. So you can see that this is definitely a little more complicated. So you have to use the registry and then each of the different registries to get a holder or throw. So the holder, if we see this, is, you know, a holder of a certain, you know, key or something like that. And here we can basically ask, hey, you know, is this specific key that we're throwing in here? So this is going to be the block, you can see, right? So we're going to get the resource key from this block. And then we're going to say, okay, is this actually inside of this tag? It's very convoluted, but it is what it is. So this is fine. This works totally fine. And that is actually all of the changes that we need to do here. And then there's also some significant changes in the world generation. So that is going to come in the later tutorials. One very important thing is that the next tutorial, actually, where I'm going to add the wood, that's actually still in 1.18.1 because nothing changed. So no worries there. If there are some discrepancies there that you might see, no worries at all. This is just because we're still using 1.18.1 in that, but nothing has changed. And now, after we've basically changed the tags and this, you know, this method right here, everything should be working fine again, and nothing else should, you know, stand out and not work. So that's still a very important tutorial here, updating to 1.18.2, because now following this, we're basically gonna continue the series with 1.18.2. That's already it for this tutorial right here. I hope you found this useful and you learned something new, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. I also want to thank all of my lovely Patreon supporters for supporting me and this channel. It is very much appreciated, and I'll see you in the next tutorial. So, yeah.